And welcome back to the WHHI Daily News. With us once again is Willie Aiken. He is the coroner for Jasper County. Willie, it's good to have you back on our newscast. And what we're talking about today, I think, is a very important topic. It's really the relationship between the coroner's office and funeral homes, specifically dealing with cremation.
Right.
So in Jasper County, the coroner's office is the one to give the go-ahead for a cremation. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. So if you pass away in Jasper County, no matter if it's at home or vehicle, hospital, nursing facility, anyone that passes in Jasper County has to have a cremation authorization issued by my office before a funeral home can do the cremation. So it's just pretty much an authorization to cremate. But
wonder if they're not going to be cremated. They don't have to have any sort of. So who gives the death certificate?
So the death certificate is done at the funeral home. The family normally goes and make a funeral arrangement with the funeral director. The funeral director, if it's a coroner's case, would then send the information over to my office to be certified out. So we would either at that point do cause and manner, or we would pen the death certificate.
Okay, so where do people get confused? What are some of the questions that you get, Willie, about this whole process?
So a lot of times, of course, once someone dies, grief has set in. So they have a lot of questions. They want a lot of answers right then and there.
They're not thinking straight.
They're not thinking straight at all. The funeral home, like I said, will put all of the information into the system, send it to us. Now, if you die at home, sometimes we may have to do an autopsy. So we don't actually have the cause and manner at that time on the death certificate. And I will stop and say, by law, you have to have a death certificate before you can cremate.
Okay.
So sometimes the funeral home will get a copy of the death certificate that says pending, or they will have the cause and manner on it. And then they can send us the required documents. We'll then sign off, issue the funeral home a cremation permit for the cremation to be done.
And when would you authorize an autopsy if someone dies at home?
If they're not under physician's care, if they don't have a extensive medical history, normally if they die unexpected, accidental, anything suspicious, then the coroner's office, we do have the jurisdiction to authorize an autopsy be done.
In Jasper County, who does the autopsy? Do you have to go to MUSC?
Yes, we use MUSC. We are actually working with the county coroner in Beaufort, trying to get our autopsies and everything. Some of our autopsies done there as well for quicker turnaround time.
Yeah, because they finally got someone, I think.
Yes.
Because they were going to MUSC.
Yeah, correct. Now they have their own pathologist that does their autopsies.
All right. So you were telling me that you get calls. You and your two deputies get calls all throughout the day in the middle of the night. People are calling you because.
We as the coroner's office, we have to take all ER calls. If someone dies in the ER, anything 24 hours or less, all hospice calls, any unexpected or suspicious calls. So at any given time, the phone can ring, yes.
So kind of in closing, what advice do you have for our viewers on if they're confused about, they want their loved one who's passed to be cremated? What, again, can you share with them?
I would say reach out to your funeral director, but if you have questions, also you can call the coroner's office. It's a two-part to cremation. The funeral home has to do their part. They have to send us the information for us to do our part. Once we've reviewed all of the documents, then we will issue that cremation permit, and it's usually within that same business day of it being sent to us if everything is in order.
So we have just a few seconds left. You are also in the funeral home business.
Yes.
Are more and more people being cremated today?
Yes. So I'm actually the owner of Legacy Funeral Home, and we've seen a spike in cremation. As the coroner, I've seen a spike in cremation as well. So it's more cost efficient.
Do you think that's the reason, cost?
I think that's one reason, and another reason, we don't have a lot of folks with life insurance to be able to afford a traditional funeral. Because
a traditional form is several $1,000s. I think cremation's more like $3,000, $4,000.
Around $3,000, $4,000, and a traditional funeral around $8,000. So
8 to maybe 10, depending on the.
It just depends on yes.
It's a tough topic to talk about, but important.
Needed to be.
And we need to kind of talk with our family members
Right.
about what the pre-planning. Maybe we talk about that next time.
Right.
The importance of
Yes,
pre-planning,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am,
the end of life.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you for having me.
service. Once again, you're always a great guest on our newscast.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much. Thank you.
Willie. And we'll be right back with more news. Don't go away.